So, welcome to the IT world. This is the new age that we are in. We are getting into an age where we are able to predict and preempt.
What are the proactive steps the healthcare industry in general can take to improve the overall efficiency?
It is not a 100-meter dash. Your career is not going to get over in 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. As it is said, data is the new oil.
Even in the public sector, a lot of people are going to lose their job. But last 7 to 8 years, something interesting has happened in the IT industry. And something interesting is happening at a much faster pace. And there were strikes happening right outside the place I was working. Beautiful question. And thank you very much for that. This is something which is very close to my heart.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Explore. Hope you had fun for learning in our last conversation with Mr. Rajiv Krishnan. In this episode, we have got you another corporate dignitary who has lots of insight and learning for you all. So without any further delay, let's directly dive into the conversation. Today with us, we have a personality who started their journey way back in 1999 and 2000 as a young trainer, who helped young graduates like most of you learn the know-how of medical transcription. Little did he know that he will head on to become Associate VP of WNS Global Services, Senior VP of EXL, Associate Director of Cognizant, and finally heading the Operations, Healthcare and Lifesciences Department of Tech Mahindra. We welcome Mr. Alok Jha on our podcast episode today. We are honored to host you, sir, today. Our listeners will definitely take something of value today from your past experience.
Thank you. Really appreciate the initiative that you all have taken and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Alok. So, getting started with our questions. Alok, my first question has two parts. Firstly, how do you see the advent of IT in the healthcare industry? And secondly, what should a young professional be getting his hands on to cope up with the new age of digital transformation?
That's a good question. And the age that we are in and perhaps the phase that we are going through, IT is pretty much everywhere, every aspect of the life. You just can't avoid it. That kind of reminds me of a very interesting life experience. Way back when I started my career with SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, and I was given a task to manage their database. And I'm talking about way back. I'm talking about the year 95, 96. And I was there managing their database in the commercial department. I was working in Bokaro Steel City. And there was this union strike that happened in Bokaro Steel City because people were not willing to accept computers. And there was a lot of hue and cry. There was a lot of newspaper reporting. People said that because of computerization, a lot of people will lose their jobs. There were unions going on a strike. There was so much of fear in the Indian workforce that because of this government's initiative to bring in computers, even in the public sector, a lot of people are going to lose their job. And there were strikes happening and sloganeering happening right outside the place I was working. And since I was working with the computers, I was always afraid, oh my God, something is going to happen to me. So from that time, 1995, 96, when we were scared that computerization will result into so many people losing their jobs and unions were asking for decomputerization. There was a wave that came where unions were saying that, okay, get rid of all the computers. We don't want to lose our jobs and we want to work with our own hands. And 20 years down the line, because of the same computerization, because of the same information technology, India is a force in the world to reckon with. Because of the same computer and same information technology, our employment rate has gone up, the quality of life has gone up, and wherever you go, Indian IT professionals are respected worldwide. So in today's world, see the sea change from 1995 when people were scared of the job, scared of computers, to the time where people are welcoming, accepting, and they just cannot live without computers. They just cannot live without information technology. A sea change has happened. It is going to continue to happen. There are a lot of changes that I can see happening in the industry right now, whether you talk about, and you talked about the transformation, whether you talk about automation driven transformation, you talk about analytics, you talk about real-time data, you talk about IT enabled devices. In life, everywhere there is information technology, there is just no way that we can currently live without it. So welcome to the IT world. This is the new age that we are in.
I think that is a very interesting thing you told, that now I think people would protest if we don't have the computers in the office.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You're right. Bingo. Yes, yes. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I think digital transformation is becoming a business discipline or a company philosophy, not just a project. And as it is said, at the end, it's all about the experience. The technology we use might not impress someone, but the experience you create with it is everything.
Correct, correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think in the last 2 years, Lubna, if you see what COVID has done, it has taught us that what IT can do, what internet connectivity can do to all of us. Even when all of us, the entire world, was caged within the room itself, we could not step out, we were still connected. In fact, we were more connected than ever before, and that happened because of this IT and this internet. So I think, as I said, it is so much embedded into our life right now, we just cannot live without it.
Yes. Alok, follow up to that would be, what is in your industry do you think is the next big thing that professionals today should keep an eye on that would help our listeners to have an idea what the leaders today are focusing on?
Particularly in healthcare industry, Lubna, if you see, until recently, we have been into always a reactive phase. We something has happened, and then we have tried to correct the situation. A person has fallen sick, and then we try to cure him or her of whatever disease he or she has. Because of this IT, we are getting into an age where we are able to predict and preempt any disease conditions. And if you see right now, and I could be one of the examples, I'm wearing this smartwatch. Now, this smartwatch is taking all the biosensitive data, whether it is my pulse, it is my blood pressure, it is my breathing, it is my sleep, it is my steps, how active I have been throughout the day, and it is feeding into a server. And somebody is running analytics on that server, and somebody is coming up with the intelligent data that, okay, this particular country, this demographic, this age group, what are the benchmarks of activity, what are the benchmarks of health standards, what are the benchmark of weight, how active people are, how many hours are they sleeping, and somebody is creating these patterns, and basis that we would be able to come up with intelligent information that will feed into our healthcare. Not only this, we would be able to predict and preempt certain disease conditions. And I have not even gone into genetics right now. That is another field altogether. So the way IT is helping us garner data on a real-time basis and garner data on a mass scale, huge scale, what we call about big data analytics, that would help us live a better life, a healthier life, and we will not have to wait for the disease to happen in order to correct the situations. We can predict it and we can preempt it.
Yes, I think we all would be better prepared for all the things that is going to come ahead.
That's right. Yes, that is the kind of future that I see. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Moving on, my second question would be, can you shed some light on the Indian healthcare industry, the challenges it faces, and the opportunity it presents to our emerging leaders?
I look at India, I see, we are a conjuncture where we see different kind of philosophies and different kind of healthcare system coming together, amalgamating, and something India, I'm always very proud of being an Indian. I always see so many things, unique here in India. So we have this English Western allopathic healthcare system. We have this Ayurvedic system, and then there are people who are following homeopathy and other ways of treatment as well. And I see an acceptance, an amalgamation, and coming together of a lot of different kinds of healthcare approach in India. And that's where I think we are in a very unique position where we can pick up the best from each path, each ways of treatment, and then we can put together. So you see, maybe not right now, but perhaps 10 years back, the way this yoga driven by Swami Ramdev, that kind of came into picture, and everybody started doing pranayams, and everybody started understanding what Anulom Vilom and different systems of pranayams are and how they are helping. And then we had these smartwatches that they came into, step count, various different kind of apps that came into which. What I'm trying to say is that whether it is traditional Indian approach or it is modern Western approach, I see that there is a lot of consciousness and a lot of awareness in the Indian people, despite we not being super rich like the Western countries. And that awareness is resulting into better health qualities and better quality of the life. So I see there is a lot that can happen in India. And if you talk about modern Western healthcare system, from I think we are still catching up when it comes to what is our facilities in terms of how many doctors do we have per thousand people, how many hospitals do we have, what is the access to the healthcare, and particularly in the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, even in the villages, that there is something that we still have to work on. But what features like smartphones have done, and perhaps the TV and the internet have done, they have ensured that healthcare related informations are disseminated far and wide, even to the last corner, the last mile of the country. And even and I have my parents living in the village, my brother lives in the village, and I see that the awareness that they have around the healthcare, whether it is government projects, in just while joking, we call it WhatsApp University. But what this WhatsApp University has done is that this has ensured that messages are reaching from people to people far and quick. Now, some of those messages may not be correct, may not be valid, but at least information is getting disseminated very, very quickly. And that is helping people.
Yeah, definitely. I rightly said that there has been fast-paced advancement, but there also comes the burden of bearing the second largest population in the world, and it does put an strain on the Indian healthcare resources. But also in terms of opportunity, I think medical tourism, as India is a popular destination for medical tourists due to the low cost and good quality of its private institution, I think that is one thing we can more focus on to bring the healthcare industry to newer heights.
I totally agree with you, Lubna. And if you see, in fact, people from the neighboring countries, whether it is Nepal or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, even places like Afghanistan and Pakistan, and from the Middle East countries, sometimes even from the Western countries, people come down to India because our quality of healthcare is better and our quality of healthcare is more affordable as compared to the Western healthcare. And medical tourism is a big thing where India has really made its name.
Exactly. I think moving on, Alok, one thing we want to ask is that how do you think operations was managed in COVID-19 in healthcare industry, and what were the things that could have been better?
And when you say operations, which operations do you mean? Help me understand that, because I accordingly then I think I'll be able to share my experiences.
I think as there was a lot of strain in the Indian healthcare system, there were lack of oxygen and lack of beds, and in terms of that supply chain, how do you think India did, and what are the things that could have been better?
Yeah, so interesting that you talked about supply chain. Now, what happened before COVID in supply chain management was that the manufacturing places and the warehouses were kept maybe sometimes in far away, in distant corners, where the cost of manufacturing was very low and cost of warehousing was very low. What happened when COVID struck? All of a sudden, all these transport facilities were stopped. Whether it was by sea or by train or by road, by air, everything kind of came to a standstill. And while manufacturing plants and the warehouses had the medicine, because the supply chain broke, the medicines were not able to reach the patient in time. And that kind of resulted into a lot of casualties. The learning that I think we have got from this COVID situation is that we need to ensure that the gap between the point of production and the point of consumption is narrowed down to an extent where we are able to ensure that the medical facilities, whether it is product and services, can reach the consumer, which in this case is the patient, as fast as possible. And it is not always wise to keep the manufacturing plants in a remote corner where in the event of a calamity, accessing that product and service cannot even be relied upon. I think that has been one of the big learnings of this COVID situation.
Alok, leaving aside the last 2 years, the COVID situation, what are the proactive steps the healthcare industry in general can take to improve the overall efficiency?
I think one is that, I would always go that, and I work in an IT industry, I have been part of many automation transformation projects, and we are sitting on a huge pile of data, and we have some very smart, intelligent people working in healthcare industry and in the IT industry. What we need to do is leverage the knowledge that we have, leverage the data that we have, and ensure that we are able to bring it to the use of normal, in general, public healthcare system. So we have to figure out a way how we can derive intelligent insights from the data that we have and make policies accordingly. I have traveled to different places, and the work has taken me around. And when I go to places like Amsterdam, and when I go to places like some of the European countries, and I see people cycling to work, and then I come back to India, and then I see the fascination that we have for driving to work. And then I also understand the challenges that we have in the Indian cities, where it is very, perhaps, one, we do not have the facilities, we do not have the cycling tracks in most of the cities. And second, if we want to cycle on the road where we have sometimes very unruly, unregulated traffic, it can be risky and it can be dangerous. So as a policy, and this is the expectation that I have from the government, can we design our cities in such a way so that we are encouraging healthy habits, so that we are reducing our carbon footprints? One of the brilliant things that I saw during the COVID situations, the sky was clear, the air was pure, the sunrise and the sunsets were beautiful. Now, again, the lockdowns have gone, the traffic is back to normal, the pollution is also back to normal, and the sunrise and the sunsets are not that beautiful anymore. So what are we doing? Wasn't COVID a kind of signal that we need to change the way we live? We need to change the way we work and travel? Why have we not learned from that yet? When are we going to learn? Are we going to wait for something which is more dangerous than COVID in order to change our lifestyle? So coming back to your question, Lubna, we have a lot of data that tells us what we can do. We, as a nation, we understand what are the kind of diseases that we are more prone to because of our demographic, because of our genetic conditions, and we need to make certain changes in the way we live, in the way we work and travel. And that is where I have expectations from the authorities, from the corporates who can perhaps come up with smart solutions, and from the government who can provide the infrastructure.
Yeah, definitely. As it is said, data is the new oil. I hope that COVID times are behind us and all of us can be back to living our normal lives. But of course, with introspection and the learnings we have taken, the points you have mentioned are really insightful. And the future young leaders who want to enter into the healthcare industry, I hope you're noting this down. Moving on, Alok, a lot of people believe operation is majorly an IT-oriented domain. Do you agree with this statement?
Before 2014, 2015, I would have agreed. But last 7 to 8 years, something interesting has happened in the IT industry. And something interesting is happening at a much faster pace in the industry right now. And in the beginning, we talked about transformation, we talked about IT, we talked about IT-enabled devices. A lot of places, the work is getting automated. Anything which has a fixed pattern, anything which is voluminous, anything which is logic-driven, anything where you can put an algorithm that says A plus B is equal to C. These kind of works are getting away from the manual domain. We do not need a human right now to do data entry. We do not need a human right now to do clerical calculations. Bots are doing that. So there is this robotic process automation that is happening across the industry in every domain, not only in healthcare, whether that is banking and finance, that is insurance, that is fast moving consumer goods, wherever you go. Anything which is fixed, where I do not require a human intelligent input, anything which can be broken down into algorithms and broken down into logics are getting automated. I do not need a man to do that job. So the way operations are changing, the way not only operations, the way the work is changing is very soon we are going to reach a point where we need a human to provide something that only a human can do, which is human-like qualities, which is like intuition, intelligent input, which is like empathy, some human-related behaviors and emotions, where a human needs to connect with another human, or where the computer has not been able to break down the logic yet. I'm very sure now, as we are getting into the field of intelligent automations, tomorrow perhaps that is another benchmark that we will achieve. Today we are not there. But today also, think about this. I remember 2 years or maybe 3 years back, I was giving a talk at one of the IIMs, and I talked to them about the jobs that have disappeared. You do not see postmen anymore. Nobody writes a postcard or an inland letter. I'm not sure, Lubna, whether you remember or not, but during my childhood, I used to write inland letters, those blue inland letters. I used to write postcards. Nowadays, nobody writes that. I have not seen postmen for months and years now. They do not come home to deliver the letters. People are messaging each other. They are calling each other. They are writing emails to each other. So we do not have somebody to book a trunk call. During my childhood, I used to have somebody who will book a trunk call if I have to talk to a distant relative. Many jobs are going away. We do not have, I would rather have a Google Assistant or a Siri or an Alexa as my personal assistant. People are going away from the stenos. Earlier there used to be a stenographer who will take notes in the codes and then go and type. There used to be a job of a typist. These jobs are gone. So the way these jobs are gone, similarly, some more jobs are going away and they will become extinct in next 3 years, 5 years. Your generation, this generation that is coming into the workforce, must be agile enough, must be conscious enough, aware and alert enough to see what is the kind of requirement that is going to be in demand in the job market in future. And that is where I had my discussion in your institute as well. Are we aware of that? Are we teaching students that kind of a skill set? Even for that, I have bots who can do the coding now. I do not need a man to do the coding. Unless you are coming up with a different platform, you're coming up with different languages. So can I see the future? Can I be ready for the future? Can I go away from the routine work? Can I go away from simple clerical work, simple logical work, and invest my time only when something only a humans can do? And the question is, what are the kind of works that humans can do? So I'll tell you something. 20 years back, we were working in a very, very local situation. So I talked about the situation that I was working in Bokaro Steel City. And we were working in an office. We had people from South, we had people from North, we had people from, but we are just those bunch of 25, 30 people that we had to adjust with, that we had to collaborate with, that we had to work with. Today, we are working on a global platforms. In my normal day-to-day meetings, when I am on a call, I have somebody from Australia, somebody from Singapore, somebody from Malaysia, somebody from Spain, somebody from UK, somebody from France, and East Coast of North America at the same time. I have 10, 12 different cultures, different countries getting represented on a call, working together at the same time. Now, here comes the complexities. All these people, they have grown up with different languages, different cultures, different behavior patterns, different histories, different ways of working and different ways of interacting. For example, let's say a Japanese and a Korean or a Singaporean can be very differential, respectful, and can be very indirect, and she has to give the feedback. Now talk to a German, talk to an American, they would be very direct and they won't feel bad about it. It's perfectly all right with them. And you as an Indian, and you are talking on the same call, you are talking to somebody from China and somebody from Korea, and you are talking to somebody from America. How do you ensure that you are able to get that synergy out of it? That is a human calculation. That is a human input. This is what a bot cannot do. This is what no machine can do. So if I have to get the combined synergies, if I have to make that global team optimally efficient, I need a human intervention. As of now, my bot cannot do that. I need a smart, intelligent human who can pick up these sensitivities, who is aware of these different ways of working, who is aware of these cultural sensitivities, and ensure different people across the globe are able to come together, synergize, and produce the kind of outcome that we as an organization are looking for.
Rightly said, Alok. And yes, IT is definitely shaping the world no one has ever thought about. And it's all about, I think, survival of the fittest. So it will force people to upskill themselves and bring the human part back into the human resource.
Yes,
Yeah.
so true. And I'm glad you said that, bring the human part back into human resource.
Yeah.
Those days are coming. Yes.
Yeah. So moving on, Alok, for our listeners who are currently working in operations or technical domain, how should they approach their next move to better navigate their learning journey?
One thing, Lubna, that we all must be aware of, and irrespective of the age, whether they are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever be the age, is the days when you learned something, came into the workforce and thought that that learning will carry you through the 30, 35 years of your career, those days are gone. We cannot rest on our past laurels anymore. If we have to survive, if we have to flourish, we have to be constantly learning, unlearning, and relearning. The
Right.
world is changing so fast. The way we work and communicate is changing so fast. It is imperative that anybody who wants to just about survive in the current workforce will have to ensure that he or she is constantly unlearning and relearning. If I am averse to changes, it would be very difficult for me to survive in the current workforce. If I am saying, no, I do not want this, I want to continue the way I'm working, those days are gone. If I can advise you one single thing to the people who are coming, into the workforce, or to the people who want to flourish in the current workforce, be adaptable, be open to changes. In fact, embrace change. Be the first one to advocate change. You know, I keep on saying this to my team members, that way the world is changing right now, it is a kind of tsunami. If you try to resist it, you will be swept away. You have only one option. You learn how to ride the wave. If you learn how to ride the wave, you will flourish. You will be at the top of your game.
Right, right. Alok, for people who are interested in healthcare and life science, what is the role of an MBA graduate and how can one grow in the initial stages?
If you are an MBA graduate, what I understand and what I assume is that you have learned your basics. You are very good as far as the knowledge is concerned, the inherent skill sets are concerned. You have spent enough time to understand how the healthcare and the life sciences industry is working across the globe, India as well as outside India. So you have all the knowledges that is there in the book, and that is in the collective brain of the institute wherever you have learned. What you need is an opportunity to apply those knowledges in the action. So if you're joining the operations and if you're joining the workforce after having graduated from an MBA institute, there are two things that you should do. One is that when you join any organizations, learn the organizational culture first. Understand the dynamics of the organization, and each organization has a different dynamics. And then second, when you are making the changes, please ensure that you are accepted and you have absorbed the culture before you start making the changes. Some of the risks that I have seen with the graduates that I have hired from different MBA institutes is that, as I said, they have knowledge, they have the ability and the courage to ask questions, they challenge the status quo. What happens? Two things. I have seen two places where they run into problems. One is that they want to change too many things too soon. And then if there has been an organization which has been working, let's say for 50 years, 60 years in a particular way, too many things too soon sometimes does not happen. And then you run into bottlenecks and roadblocks, and then you get frustrated. And that brings me to the second position. And I have seen that after a year or two, when they see that system where they are working is not really moving as fast as they can, they get discouraged. And then there is a disenchantment that happens, and they kind of give up or move on, or they try somewhere else. Always remember, when you break the egg from outside, life is lost. There is a destruction. But when the egg is broken from inside, the life is born. There is a construction. So try, if you have to break anything, break it from inside. Get accepted, get internalized in the system, into any organization that you are working, and then start making the changes. So it's not about the knowledge. I mean, these MBAs, I love them, the kind of energy that they bring to the team, and more than that, the ability and the guts to ask questions. So there are people who have been working 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the organization. Over a period of time, they get so attuned to working in a particular way that they forget to ask, why not something else? Why not other way? Why not something different? But these MBA graduates, they have the courage to ask questions. No, we can do this differently also. So, and they are willing to take that risk. So that's the beautiful part. The learning is that perseverance is the key, acceptance is the key, and change management is the key. Change management is going to be one huge opportunity as we start working more and more with the global platforms, as we start working more and more with new technologies and new platforms. Change management, how to bring in change, is going to be one huge areas of opportunity to all the MBA graduates. And that's why I think they should look forward to it, and they should think about it. how can I ensure that I am able to bring in the change? That is
Yes.
something that maybe we can talk about that sometime later on as well.
Yeah. So, to all the MBA graduates listening to this, change management is the key, but also, as Alok said, with perseverance and patience and understanding the culture and then moving forward with a realistic approach. Yeah, so Alok, for people looking for job in healthcare domain abroad, what markets or countries would you suggest them to try for where they could not just earn good but also have opportunities to grow as well?
So there are some traditional markets that we all are aware of. Everybody knows about the traditional Anglophone markets. When I say Anglophone, I mean North America, I mean UK, New Zealand, Australia. We all are aware of this. The opportunity that I see, which is not really tapped a lot, is the non-Anglophone market. No, I'll tell you something very interesting. I was traveling in Madrid, and the driver who was taking me from the airport to my workplace, when he realized that I was from India, he made a comment that you Indians are very intelligent. You are very good in IT and medical. And then I asked him where he was from, and he said that he was from Romania and he was working. So, what the message that I'm trying to convey is that even in a country like Spain, which is non-English speaking country, and a person was from Romania, he knew that Indians are very intelligent, they are very good in IT, and they are very good in medical. So there is this reputation that Indians have across the globe. And while English speaking countries may be saturated and they already have so many Indians, the non-English speaking countries are where you have a lot of opportunities.
I think rightly said that non-English speaking countries are there which we can focus on. I think, and if there is talent, they can emerge in every place. I believe. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so Alok, you also talked about the new recruits getting frustrated and leaving the organization within the first year of joining. And this has been more prominent with the current generation, the Gen Z, the millennial generation. So, what do you believe is the correct time for an employee to start considering for switch?
These are some of my personal beliefs. I always say that irrespective of whatever is or the organization that you are working with and whatever is the organization culture, as long as you have a boss and an ecosystem that allows you to optimally be efficient and explore everything that you want to do. So when you are young, there are so many things that you would like to do. You would like to explore different aspects of your personality, different aspects of your skill set. If the ecosystem in the organization and if your current boss is allowing you that kind of space and that kind of opportunity, I would not say you should leave.
Right.
You should only leave when you feel that your growth is getting stunted, when you feel that you are not optimally utilized, when you feel that you are no more challenged. I have this very famous saying that if Monday does not excite you, change your job. And if
Right.
Saturday does not excite you, change your life.
Right. I think this would be my go-to quote for the next thing. I think that is really nice. Another question that comes to my mind for an MBA first-year students who come from technical or engineering background and work experience is that students who are confused while selecting their majors and minors, what advice would you give them?
If because of any reason you have been confused, please understand, as one of the questions I said that we are living in an age where there is constant learning, unlearning, and relearning. It does not matter what you have studied during the course of your career. Many a times you'll have to change tracks, you'll have to be adaptable, you'll have to learn, and you will have to apply that. And again, after some time, learn something else. So
Right.
your MBA degree and whatever major and minor you have done would perhaps be applicable to your first job or maybe to second job. After that, it will be all about your performance track record. What have you done in your last job? What is the kind of value addition that you have brought to the organization? That would indicate the kind of opportunities that you'll get in your future. So irrespective of whatever major and minor you have done, even if you think you have not made the right choice, or even if you have made the right choice, please be willing to unlearn and relearn as per the opportunity arises.
Right. Unlearn and relearn as per the opportunity arises. Listeners, I hope you're listening this. Alok, finally, one last question I would have for you is that how can one maintain a good work-life balance so that no part of their life is neglected? I think that is really important in today's
That's a beautiful
fast-paced world.
question, Lubna. Beautiful, beautiful question. And thank you very much for that. This is something which is very close to my heart. I do not know how to say it correctly. I have seen people who neglect their life because of whatever reason. Sometimes because they are workaholic, sometimes because they are plain careless. And God has given us this one life, this one body. And if we do not take care of this life mentally, physically, emotionally, we can never be efficient at work. We can never be optimally productive at work. If your mind is not at peace, if you are not able to concentrate, whatever work you will do would always be less than optimally efficient. And if you are falling, God forbid, if you're falling sick every other day, every other week, even if you're brilliant and intelligent, you will not be able to contribute as much as you want. So if you, and this career, as I said, this 35 years of career is a kind of marathon. It's you have to first of all have the stamina to be able to run these 32 years. And that will come with the discipline, that will come with the practice. It is not a 100-meter dash. Your career is not going to get over in 5 years. So if you really want to be productive for 32 years, please ensure that your first allegiance and the loyalty that you should have is towards yourself, is
Right.
towards your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Whether that means running, going to the gym, that means doing meditation, doing yoga, whatever suits you. But please ensure that every day, at least an hour you are giving to yourself. Before you take care of the world, take care of yourself. You have to be your topmost priority. Only when you have taken care of yourself, you can take care of everybody else. So the world is changing, and you have a lot of distractions. For example, you have the Netflixes of the world, you have the smartphones. If you cannot switch off your smartphone, if you cannot keep up your smartphone, if you cannot say no to Netflix, and if you cannot say no to internet browsing, and whether it is Facebook or Insta or whatever, it is going to take a toll. It will take a toll on on your ability to concentrate. It will take a toll on your health. So my sincere request is that learn what is working for you, what is not working for you. Nothing in this world is free. If you think Facebook is free, if you think Twitter is free or Instagram is free or Netflix or anything else is free, you are the product. In that case, they are selling you. And the moment you understand this, and there is another thing that I always say, that in life, in every transaction, every situations, we are either a producer or a consumer. Wherever you are a consumer, you are draining your energy, you are draining your whatever, money or whatever else. Wherever you are a producer, you are contributing to the society and you are building your wealth. So think next time when you are sitting in front of Netflix, when you are sitting in front of Facebook or your smartphone, are you being a producer, creator, or are you being a consumer? If you are being a consumer, you got to limit that.
Rightly said. Wow. I think the key takeaway, the most key takeaway from this was that your career is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So we have to manage the professional and the personal life in a
Right.
right manner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alok, next we have a fun rapid fire round. So I would be
Okay.
giving you one topic and you
All
have
right.
to reply in one word, whatever you feel about that topic.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Are we ready to go?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So operations,
Excellent.
life science,
Beautiful. Opportunity.
healthcare in India,
The best.
healthcare abroad,
Lot to learn from.
a book every operation professional should read,
I would just say 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
COVID-19,
World changer.
technology,
Life.
MBA,
A lot of things. Enthusiasm. This is the first word that comes to my mind.
yeah, COO.
Dream for everybody.
Thank you so much, Alok, for sharing such wonderful insights with us. We hope you enjoyed engaging with us. On the behalf of our listeners, we are very grateful to host like personalities as honest and humble like you. Any last thoughts you have for our listeners?
It has been a pleasure talking to you, Lubna, and all of you. I think this is a brilliant initiative that you all have started. God bless you all, guys, and I sincerely appreciate whatever efforts you all are taking. And as I said in the beginning, let this virtuous cycle continue. I hope others learn from you and they follow your path. And that's how we are able to help each other. So thank you very much for taking this initiative.
Thank you, Alok. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So this was Alok Jha sharing his vast experience and learning. Thank you, listeners, for staying tuned with us. We promise to keep delivering such quality discussions for you to gather your thoughts and be one step closer to your dream job. We will see you very soon with another personality on Explore. Till then, don't forget to subscribe to Explore on Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcast. Want more from Example? Check out the link in the description for our Instagram and LinkedIn handles. Thank you.